right, and we back on the Main Event Podcast. I appreciate everybody for tuning in once again. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button to keep up with the content that we constantly keep dropping to entertain all our boxing fans out there. In tonight's main event, I got none other than a Hall of Fame referee. I'd be here all day if I just broke down all the fights that he did, letting you know the fights that he did. But I'm going to let him do it because this is boxing royalty. And anytime you get boxing royalty in your main event, you got to let them speak their piece, baby, because everybody loves the sport of boxing. So, ladies and gentlemen, to my right, maybe to you guys left or right, I got none other than the Hall of Famer, Russell Mora.
Thank you
How
very
you doing,
much.
Sir?
Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. We got him here. I can't believe we got him here at the main event, man. How you been?
I'm very good. I'm honored to be here. Thank you for what you're doing for the sport of boxing. Always we need this information to get out there.
Yes, sir.
So that people understand where we're coming from.
For sure.
But thank you.
For sure. Now, retired, right? Retired rep?
Okay, so I stepped out of the ring in 2022. My last fight was Triple G and Canelo.
Okay.
Their trilogy fight.
Oh, wow.
And so I stepped out. I'm no longer an active referee, but I took on a couple of different roles. Right now, I'm the chairman of officials for the WBO.
Nice, I did read that.
And I love the WBO, and I love this position. It allows me to educate the young referees, and also, and sometimes just shake up some of the more seasoned reavies,
right,
because we're not done learning.
For sure.
And also, my second hat is an ABC trainer for the Association of Boxing Commissions.
Okay.
To train the referees, to give them their certifications.
Yeah, we definitely gonna get into that. I got a few questions on how you dive in to be a great as ref as you are, but I just wanted to bring up the retirement because I wanted to know what was life like after dedicating so much time to a sport, and now you get to kick your feet up and teach it. How does that feel?
It's wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful. There's an old saying that those who can do and those who can't teach.
Right.
And now that I'm 62 now, and my knees aren't as fresh as they once were, maybe my reaction time isn't as fresh as it once was. And so it's better that I step out of the ring, let the young referees in there, and help them along the way so that they don't have to learn from the hard way that I did and some of the guys my age did.
Okay. Well, okay. Now that we got that out the way on the Main Event Podcast, make sure you like and subscribe. We're going to keep continuing to bring you great boxing content. Take me back, Mr. Mora. Take me back to when boxing first fell in your lap. How did you discover it? Where did the love come from? And all that good stuff.
Boxing, I tell people, was really my first love. My father was a fighter out of Denver, Colorado, Richard Mora. And so all the family followed him into boxing. My uncles fought, my cousins fought, my little brothers fought. My big brother and myself fought. They all mostly fought pro. I did not. And one of my uncles, Uncle Jess, didn't fight pro. We all fought only in the amateurs. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I fell in love with boxing at a young age, and my dad used to teach us all the time how to fight. You never box a boxer, you never slug with a slugger. And
right.
He used to teach us the philosophy of boxing and how to slip a jab or how to block a jab.
Okay. So where did so when you was out there, actually, you were fighting amateur, right? You never went pro. How many amateur fights did you have?
I only had 23 amateur fights.
Okay.
And with 23 amateur fights, I won our state golden gloves in Albuquerque, or in New Mexico, our state golden gloves. And then our regional golden gloves in Albuquerque, 1980, 1981.
So what made you say, okay, you know what, I don't want to do this professionally? You said, what made you choose the referee route, not a judge or not a trainer, or, what made you choose reffing?
It's a strange road that we all go on. Initially, I actually went back to the gym to help my coach, Henry Anaya Sr., in Albuquerque, New Mexico, to help him train the fighters. And I realized, you got to be the doctor, the lawyer, the father, the mother, the janitor. And my hat's out to these coaches because they work so hard, so many hours, and they put in their own money to help these kids. I realized I was raised in a young family. This was not something that I was interested in or that I could spend enough time in.
Right.
And so one time I went to the fights and they needed a judge. So the rest is history. I sat down and started judging, and then long after that, I started writing. So.
Okay. Now, my next question is, everybody, they watch the two men in the ring for sure, 100%. But that third man in the ring plays a pivotal role in that entire fight. So what type of training does one need? Because, you see fans, they watch a fight and they go, oh man, the ref didn't see that low blow. Oh man, the ref took a point for nothing. Or, what type of training do you need to stay on top of that to make sure you do give a fair fight? Because you're a third man that plays a pivotal role in the fight.
It is a very important position to be in because as a judge, you have the livelihood of the fighters. But as a referee, you have their lives in your hands.
Right.
So nobody's perfect and no fight is perfect, no round is perfect, but you try your best to absolutely get it right. But a good referee is a referee that is invisible. The art of becoming invisible.
Mm-hmm. Describe that for me. What's that art?
Nobody came to see the referee.
Right.
Nobody bought a ticket to say, hey, I want to see this referee. No. In fact, the best compliment a referee can get is when the fight's over, they say, who was the ref on that fight? That's a perfect position for the ref.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when I say invisible, I don't mean absent. Sometimes you got to take a point.
Right.
Sometimes you have to step up to a plate and control the fight.
Right.
Control the pace. There's so many things that might work in one fight that may not work in another fight.
Right.
Sometimes what works in one round don't work in another round.
Right, exactly.
So it's hard to say this, but it's the truth. It takes a lot of experience to be that kind of referee.
Right.
When I first started as a referee, boy, I wanted to catch every foul so I could tell everybody, or everybody could see, oh, referee saw that foul. Referee saw that foul. It is a fight after all. You have to sometimes step out of the way and let this fight happen.
Right.
Let the situation come to you.
And then fix it.
Yes,
for sure. Yeah, I love that type of reffing because, like, even as a fan, I would throw, pay-per-view fight parties, and they'd be like, oh, this ref's reffing. He gonna let him fight, though. This ref, this ref ain't gonna let him fight. He breaks him up soon as they hug. So how do you... What do you step into the ring with? How do you go, okay, do you like to let guys fight? I know you said the situation, you let it happen and then unfold, but do you have a certain set of rules that you go by that you give to them before they come out? Like, this is what I expect. This is what I'm not tolerating. What are your rules that Russell Mora is coming to the forefront with?
That covers a lot of what you just said. And so let me start by saying that the referee starts control of the fight dressing room, because when you go into the dressing room, you would introduce yourself. I'm your referee. My name is Russell Mora. Welcome to Las Vegas, Nevada.
Yes, sir.
Tonight, I expect a clean fight.
Mm-hmm.
Tonight, I will enforce a clean fight.
Mm-hmm.
You fight fair, you fight clean, and I'll stay out of your way. Do you understand that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so now we talk about it.
Yes.
Zero tolerance for any punch in the back of the head.
Yes, have to.
And then we break it down in the dressing room. So the control starts in the dressing room. But now, when you get in the ring, you got to do what you say and say what you mean.
You're right.
You got to be that referee that backs up what you said in the dressing room.
Right.
Okay. So now, how much holding do you tolerate? Every fight's different. For example, the Triple G Canelo fight, their trilogy, my last fight,
right.
I did two things. The first round, I said box. And in the last round, I said stop.
Yeah.
Because those guys, they took care of business.
Right, exactly.
Holding, there's a sport for holding. That's called wrestling.
Tell him again, Russ.
Yes.
Holding is for another sport. What's it called?
That's wrestling.
Not the sweet science, baby. I'm sorry. Okay, go ahead, continue.
So if holding is your only defense,
right,
or if holding is your only offense, that's when it becomes a foul.
Right.
The referee has to recognize that. He has to warn the fighter for holding. Now, having said that, was I perfect? I tried to not jump to conclusions and take points. So I would try to control the fight without having to take a point, but when it came down to it, there was fights that, yes, in fact, I took a point for holding.
Now, some fighters, They use holding as a form of defense.
That's right.
But they know how to get away with it slickly. Like, to me, Floyd Mayweather was one of the best to do it. He hit you with that straight right, tie you up so quick so you couldn't hit him back, but then break up.
But he
really
did it
fast.
brilliant.
Right.
And
Yeah,
that's
so
not
slick.
the holding that I'm referring to. And
Right.
here's why. Because he would be able to turn, he would tie his fighter up, but at the same time, as soon as it would start to become a foul, he let him go
He let him
and
go.
started throwing punches.
That's the smart
So the
move
referee
for the
stays
fight.
out of the way.
Yeah.
Because in a fight, you can manhandle your opponent. That's fair. I can push, I can pull, I can tug, I can hold, I can tie you up, but that's not holding. Now, if the referee, when does it become holding? When the referee has to say, stop,
Right. Stop.
and because
break.
there's zero action going on.
Right.
That's when it
You
becomes
guys
holding.
is just holding.
Yes, when the guy's just straight holding. So if you're brilliant like Floyd Mayweather and you're able to tie up your opponent and let him go before it becomes holding, that's probably the way to fight, because he was a very defensive fighter, but very, very brilliant.
Yeah, he was. And there was one fight I want to ask you about. You wasn't the ref, but I would love to hear your take on it. It's the fight when Floyd fought Victor Ortiz. And it was the foul.
Yes.
And he hugged him a little bit too much. But then Floyd kind of took advantage of the extra hug after the ref told him they could fight. So what's your take on that situation? Because it is protect yourself at all times.
Yes.
After the ref told him to fight, Victor Ortiz did want to hug him one more time.
One more time.
After the ref said fight. So what's your take on that moment right there?
Yeah, it was a legal cheap shot. It was a legal cheap shot. There's no other way of explaining it. But and I see what your point was. You know, when we were fighters, and if a guy has both your hands, we're taught to pull him towards you with your head pointing to the ground. This doesn't look like it's an intentional headbutt, right?
Right.
Because I'm pulling you towards me with my hands. You're tying my hands up. Your head hit. Your face hit my head because you were holding me, and that's what Victor Ortiz meant to do. But instead, he got a little bit too aggressive with it and pulled his head in, and so that's when he fouled Mayweather. And so it was Joe Cortez, a great referee, a legend of the sport, did a great job by taking a point, and he commanded box, he commanded time. But like you said, instead of protecting yourself at all times, he wanted to hug him one more time. And
Yeah, that's what I didn't agree with. And I gotta ask the questions on the Main Event podcast. Some people be scared to ask. When you got a man of his stature sitting right here, you gotta know everything because he's been around. So my next question, I want to dive back into Russell Mora. We talked about all these other people. You've been reffing for a long time. You've reffed a lot of fights. But what's the one fight that you reffed when you was like, man, I made it. I'm reffing these two? Whoa. What's that fight?
When I came to Vegas, you know, from Albuquerque, New Mexico, it was my dream to be a referee in Las Vegas, Nevada. I tell the story that I would ask the other referees, hey, how do I get to Las Vegas? And they all said, it's impossible. They have the best referees in the world in Las Vegas.
Right.
You know, there's Tony Weeks, there's
What's
Richard
up, Tom?
Steele,
What's up, Mr. Steele?
Kenny Bayless,
How you
Joe
doing?
Cortez.
And I got Russell Mora here. We're naming all the greats.
These guys were the best. Jay Nady, Vic Draculich.
Nady,
These
yes.
guys handled the fights. And but if God's for you, who can be against you?
That's right.
And so it came out, and I applied, and when I got to referee here, that's when I knew I had to fill those shoes. I had to be as good as those guys were.
Right.
And it took me a while.
Okay.
You know, it took me a while.
Great
I had
things
some
take
big
time,
time
though.
flops.
Yeah.
I had a flop. I don't even need to mention the names because everybody will say, "Oh, I know exactly what fight it was," and I didn't handle it well. It was a lot of low blows, but the cause of it was one fighter pulling the other fighter's head down, causing the low blows. But nevertheless, I messed up by not controlling the fight, by not taking control of the fight, by not taking a point for the low blows, for not taking a point for him pulling his head down,
Right.
or at least letting everybody know what I'm seeing.
Right.
I just assumed everybody knew what I was seeing, and if I could take back, if I can go back in time and take that fight back, or get back in the ring, I would love to, knowing what I know today.
Right.
But then I was still a young referee. I was still a new referee, and it takes years of experience to be halfway good.
Right. Now, is there a fight that you got mad because you had to work it? You would rather been a fan and watch it?
Oh,
Because I know, because you're a big boxing fan like me. So, like, were you mad you had to ref Tyson Fury and Wilder 3? Because would you rather watch it at home at a party or sitting in the stands? Or because how do you watch the fight without watching the fight? Do you understand what I'm? Because that's hard to do as a fan. You know you're a fan, but you got to watch the fight.
Being a referee or a judge, it takes away from being a fan.
Right.
You're no longer a fan of the sport, and now as not being an active ref, now I get to watch the fights as a fan.
For sure.
I love it. Not completely because I still have to evaluate the officials, but as a referee, there's no place you would rather be.
Right there.
If you had a front row seat to the
That's
fight
beautiful.
as a fan, it wouldn't be enough. As a referee, I cherish the time in the ring with that caliber of athletes. It was a rush. It was a real blessing to be there.
What was the biggest stage you feel you've been on out of all the fights that you refed? What's the pinnacle you say you reached? Like, man, I ref these fights right here. Was it? Because I mean, we can name them. You did Pacquiao, Ugas, you did Wilder, Fury, you did Canelo, Triple G. I mean, and the list goes on and on. You did Lomachenko and Teofimo.
That's correct.
You did that. So you've done like so many fights, man. Which one is more memorable out of all of those?
Well, they were all. I was very grateful and thankful to be in the ring with all of those fighters. The one that stood out obviously is the big guys,
Right.
Because there was 5 knockdowns in the fight.
It was. That was a hell of a fight. That was a hell of a fight.
I felt like only about 3 or 4 rounds had gone by
Right.
when the last punch was thrown. It went by so fast.
Man.
And it was just all training and being prepared for that fight.
Mhm.
I couldn't have done that fight 10 years sooner. There's no way I was prepared for it. So being with the experience that I had, it prepared me to do that fight.
What's a referee's workout? Because I know you got to keep up with the guys in there, move around, break them up, push them off. What did you do to stay in shape so you can keep control of them guys?
Well, for me, I honestly had to run. And if I wasn't running, doing my road work, I didn't feel like I was, I belonged in the ring with these superb athletes.
Right.
I at least had to be in decent shape. And so when my knees got bad and I wasn't able to really run like I wanted to, that's when I knew I had to make a choice, because I wasn't going to jeopardize the lives or the safety of the fighters, being one step behind. Wasn't going to let that happen. But so we do our road work, we'll do our workout, but most of the time it's scenarios.
Mm-hmm.
I'll get together, for example, with Jack Reese and Kenny Bayless when we did the big fight, and we went over the dressing room instructions, for example. 2 or 3 days, and we're still in the dressing room about what we're going to address, and how we're going to control the fight, and what happened in the first fight, what happened in the second fight, what was working for the referees. So it's mostly mental preparedness at that point. So physically we're in shape, so now we have to get mentally prepared.
Nice. Now, saying all that, I do want to bring up this. Your career, you've had a great referee career, and it led you to appearing in some movies. You know, explain that. How you go from referee, because your people told you wasn't going to make it to Vegas. But now, not only did you make it to Vegas, you made it to Hollywood, too. You know, so explain how that happened and how that role fell in your lap, and, you know, how referees, if you do put in your grind and do stay true to the sport, good things can happen and open for you outside of the sport based on what you do in the sport. So break that down for me. How did that role fall in your lap?
Well, again, I thank God. I'm very grateful and thankful because it happened. I got a phone call and said, "Are you available?" It was COVID, and there was others that were not available because of COVID, and so I said, "Yes, I'm available, absolutely." And so Creed 3 first was the first experience that I had, and it was just amazing. Michael B. Jordan is a real gem. He's more than people know. He's everything when he comes as a director and or as an actor. It's thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate you. If there's anything I can do for you, he's always there to help the others. And so it was just an amazing experience. And after that, I got to do the George Foreman movie, and I portrayed.
I seen that movie.
Yeah,
you was in that. Yeah, come on. I didn't even name that. Give me some. Don't leave me hanging on the camera. There we go. Yeah, okay, there it is.
Yeah,
I didn't know that. There you were.
Gentlemen, this fight is for the heavyweight championship of the world, governed by the Jamaican Board of Control, and it was something altogether different. It's something altogether different.
Man, that's a beautiful thing, Russ, man, to see you go from people telling you that you ain't gonna make it in Vegas, and not only did you make it to Vegas, you ref some big fights, and you made it to the big Hollywood stage, man. And not only that, you looking back and you teaching the people how to properly referee, and you making sure you cleaning the sport up too. That's a beautiful thing in its own right there, man. How does that feel to be able to give back to the people, to teach them, what you wish you would have did earlier in your career, but now you can fix that going forward?
It's like the saying goes, it's way better to give than receive, and to be able to share our experiences with these young referees. It's unbelievable. Just to actually, they don't have to learn the hard way. For example, when we talk about some of the most difficult fights that I've had, we've learned from that, so they don't have to now. So now we can teach them some better practices about knockdowns, how to handle a knockdown. When I first started as a referee, the mindset is the fighter that's on the ground, you don't have to worry about. It's the fighter that's standing, because he's not going anywhere. That was the mindset. That's what I was taught.
Right.
Well, we've come a whole different direction now. So now we are concerned about every second of the fighter that it goes down. And the fighter that's standing, I'm not worried about.
Right.
I send him to the neutral corner. Well, I want to see this guy, how he falls. Does he put his hands out? In boxing, as a referee, we call that, did he engage his parachute?
Right.
Did he hit his head when he landed on the canvas?
Yeah.
Does he have that new deer look where he can't control his muscles?
Yeah.
We want to see all of that, every second of that. Well, that's not what we used to do. That's not how you see the great Arthur McCanty with Joe Frazier pointing to the neutral corner, and to his back was Muhammad Ali on his back. So today we do the opposite. We're concerned about the fighter that's on the ground.
Right.
So we can teach this to the referees today. A better way a safer way of refereeing.
See, not only that, did y'all hear what he just said on the Main Event podcast? You have to watch for how they get knocked out. See, the ref sees him get hit flushly. Then it's how does he fall? If he's falling but he's bracing himself, he might not be too knocked out because he knows he can brace himself for the fall. But if he's hitting his head on the back of the canvas, then, okay, this might be kind of hard. I don't know if I should give him a standing 8 count or if I should, like how do you, if they get up by 8 and they're wobbly, do you still give them a couple seconds and let them get back? Because they did train so much for this moment. You know what I mean? And they got the heart, but sometimes heart can get you killed in this sport too.
That's perfectly put. Sometimes the referee's got to protect the fighter from himself.
From himself, yes, sir.
But a couple of things to say about that. First off, and just for clarity, the count is the referee's count.
Okay.
So yes, in fact, the referee is to count to 10 or to 8 if it's a mandatory 8.
Right.
But it's the referee's count. So when he goes down, the timekeeper automatically starts the count. The referee picks up the count from the timekeeper, and now it becomes my count. So I can say 4, 5, because now I'm evaluating the fighter. This is my count. It's not 4, 5, 6, 7. It's not that count.
Right.
It's not a computer count. It's the referee's count. In the mindset of safety of the fighter. Right.
So the counter that you pick up from, you're using his time to evaluate him before you pick up his time.
That is correct. And once I pick it up,
today. That's beautiful.
And once I pick it up, he sits down and stops counting.
Okay.
There's times that I haven't picked up the count up until 5 because I was concerned about what was going on here.
Right.
So the timekeeper starts it right. He starts it right away. And I'll say down, I'll command down, I'll send this fighter to the neutral corner, and I might have not picked it up till 5. And then 6, 7, 8. Now there's one thing that we can do now, that we're teaching, and this is all in our ABC referee's guide or referee's manual. and that is called a gait test.
Okay.
So when I say 8, tell you to go this way. And when you go that way and you're fine, now you come back and I wipe your gloves.
Right. What's the gloves wiping for? I always wanted to know that. Is get that extra Vaseline
100
off
years
of them
ago, there
from
was,
hitting?
there
Because they
was-
always do that. Give me your gloves.
There was rosin in the ring. 100 years ago, there was rosin in the ring because they were leather soles. So, I just say 100 years
It's
ago.
okay. It's
but
boxing
that's
history,
what comes-
baby. We
that's
gotta
how it
know.
comes.
Tell us.
But it was rosin. When we used to fight, I had leather soles. There was like a kitty litter box. We used to go in there, and that was rosin, and we'd wipe our feet in this rosin, and then get into in the ring. This rosin was like a chemical mixed with sawdust, and that sawdust it gave you traction with those leather soles.
Mm.
But it's not something you really want to put in somebody's face.
Right.
So you would always wipe the gloves.
Wipe the gloves.
And today, just barbarically, you don't want them to have blood, sweat, and tears on their gloves. You want to wipe
Because
them
they
down.
I always wonder, why is he wiping the gloves
Yes.
off? Man, that's crazy.
And in some ways, we use that as our evaluation for the fighter. Come here, give me your gloves.
Yeah. Do you know
And
where
if
you
they're-
at?
Yes,
Yeah.
and if they're able to do that, then most likely we're going to allow them to fight. Especially if it was a flash knockdown. Now I'm not going to make them
Right.
do the gait test.
Right.
Or if it was a body shot, I'm not going to have them do the gait test. But if it was a knockdown that you can go either way with this, but more, it's best that you see what he does.
Right.
Go this way. He goes that way. Come here. And now if he takes that walk that way and he's, hurt, he's a hurt fighter, I can't allow him to take another punch.
Right. No, that is true. That is true. Now, my next question, and we're going to wrap it up soon. I could be here for 8 hours talking to this man. There's so much history. What about the fighters who, they out on their feet, but then they wake up as soon as you wave the fight off like they could have fought? I see them do that all the time. They be out, and then as soon as you wave the fight off, they go, what? Oh, man, I was ready. I was up. Like, how do you go, man, chill out. You was out on your feet, bro. I saved you. Or, how does that
That
work?
happens, it happens in boxing. Most of the time the fighters are straight up fighters, and they're hurt and they don't want to quit. They're a man. They got people there, and they'd rather say, hey, the referee stopped the fight too soon. And all of that's fine. The referee has broad shoulders. They have to be able to take that. But most of it is body language. I know when a fighter's done by the body language. In fact, there's sometimes that I'll be counting and the fighter will be going just like this. And I'm getting ready to ask him if he wants to fight, and he's already telling me
No, he's not. I don't want no
and
more.
it's almost that obvious. But you begin with experience to read their language, to really know if they're ready to fight, if they want to fight.
Right.
I can't make a guy fight if he's
He doesn't
done.
want to. Yeah. You got to take your job serious at that point. Exactly.
If I said, well, I don't believe he's, I believe he's faking, and then he got hurt, oh my gosh, that's something I couldn't handle. So
Right.
if he doesn't want to fight, I'm going to stop the fight.
Okay.
Yeah.
You heard Mr. Russell Moore. He's going to stop the fight if you out on your feet, man. Don't be out here playing if Russell in your mix. He's going to shut it down. Now, before we get out of here, I got a couple fights I want to ask you about because you've been around the sport. Now that you're a fan of the sport, you might be able to dive in. There's a big fight everybody wants to see. I want to see it. You probably want to see it. Shakur Stevenson and Tank Davis. Who do you think wins that fight if they was to ever fight?
Oh, I honestly haven't really analyzed it to think who would win because style makes fights.
Yes, sir.
And there's a fight where, Tank Davis could pretty much do it all.
Yeah.
He can do it all.
And I think he hasn't even been forced to go in his bag of tricks yet.
Gosh.
And that's the crazy part.
Yes, he's still learning.
Right.
We haven't even seen the best of him yet,
Right.
and he's great.
Yeah.
Shakur Stevenson is a
Masterful
genius,
boxer.
a master
Yeah.
boxer.
Defensive master.
The guy doesn't get hit.
Yeah.
So what do we have? I don't. It'll be a great fight.
A great
It'll be
fight.
an absolute, and I want to see the fight. I want to be ringside for the fight. And the list goes on. We don't have fights on Saturday afternoon anymore. We don't have fights on Friday night boxing
Right, yeah.
and the way we used to have it, because now the fighters are making a little bit more money, and I'm glad for them. But unfortunately, most fans have to pay to see boxing.
Right. Yeah.
But there's more boxing, there's more active boxers at that level probably than there's ever been in the history of boxing.
Right.
Because every weight division, you go in there and pick out 10, maybe 8 great fighters that you want to see fight.
Right.
And that hasn't happened in years. So
Yeah.
it's there now.
And the fights are coming. Well, because the money's here now, and they're paying enough to go,
That's true.
okay, I'll put my all on the line. Let's do it.
Right.
You know, so they did it.
Right.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Russell Mora in the place to be.
Thank you so
I appreciate you so much for coming through, man. Russell Mora here at the main event. I'm starstruck. I'm getting an autograph and a picture after this. The man ref Pacquiao Ugas, man. The man ref Wilder Tyson Fury 3, man. The man ref Canelo and Triple G, man. The man ref, I'll go on and on. This is Mr. Russell Mora. Thank you for coming to the main event, sir. I appreciate your time.
My pleasure.
My man.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Tune in, like, and subscribe, baby. One more good episode. Mr. Russell Moore.
All right.